Alright, we're in the Haggadah of Pesach. Just a few Halachot. This is a class on the Halachot of the Seder, which I've never done before. It's the first time I'm actually teaching these in public, so forgive me if there are some things that I need to look out for you while we're learning these. But the Pesach Seder is a night full of halachot, of mitzvot, some of them biblical, some of them rabbinic, some of them customs, and it takes a lot to know what to do and what not to do. It's good today that you have Haggadot that tell you, here you do this, here you do that, here you do the next thing. But there are many differences in our customs of the Seder Pesach than in other things. And it's important just to know, to make sure that you don't make any mistakes, and to know what's right and what's not. If you need a Haggadah, I brought some here. I just asked that you leave them here for the Seder, for the Bet Knesset, but you're more than welcome to look along in them. The whole point...
That's why the coffee bean is kosher.
The whole point of the Seder... The whole point of the Seder is to make sure that our experience, our Jewish experience, becomes something that we internalize. This whole story of leaving Egypt, and I mentioned this already before, this unconditional love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had for us. Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Hashem, you took us out of Egypt. This is the most important part of the Seder, to talk about the Seder. And I'm going to tell you this again. The Zohar tells us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sitting at the table. Leil Shimurimu. It's a night of protection, a night where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us. It's a mistake what some people do, that they like to do a fast Seder. Fast Seder, do some other time of the year. On Pesach, you have to do a slow Seder. Take your time. You don't have to stay up all night. I'm not asking this from you. But make it meaningful. There's no, what are you rushing to? It's not a dinner. It's not a dinner. Eating at the Seder is a small part of the Seder. The main part of the Seder is?
The telling of the story.
The telling of the story. And the Magid, very good. And this part of the Magid, to stop in between every sentence, every paragraph. Some people have a custom that the host, the Baal Habayit, he says the whole Haggadah out loud, then everyone reads quietly. Sometimes they have that everyone reads it out loud together. And for example, that's the custom in the Yemenite community. Some have a custom that you go around the table and everyone reads a certain part. It's important to be part of this Seder, this Haggadah, to stop. Stop as many times, ask questions, look things up. You should not be at a point where you're reading things in the Haggadah that you don't understand. If you don't understand Hebrew as your native language, use one with English. I use a Haggadah with English very often. It's a person should stop to understand what I'm saying. It's not a prayer. You don't pray the Haggadah. There's nothing to pray here. If a person doesn't understand what they're reading, they're not Yotzeh, they do not fulfill the mitzvah of the Haggadah.
What about the Hallel, though? That's later.
Well, of course. So then you can...
But that's like...
That part is a tefillah. The part of Magid is not a prayer. It's an actual learning. It's a part of the story. And it's important to make sure that you really do this right, to let your guests be involved. If you're hosting a Seder, tell your guests you expect everyone to come up with at least one insight on the Haggadah. They don't know what to do, send them a link to Chabad.org, to Aish.com. There's enough places on the internet you can find something to say that for a free meal that you're giving them, they can do a little bit of homework. Think about it like that. Don't be embarrassed. The Halevy Rabbi once told me that the biggest mistake we make in the Jewish world is we're so afraid. We're afraid to push other people to think, to do things. Stop being afraid. What are you afraid of? Actually, somebody might be very, very honored that you asked them to bring something, to speak about something. This week I had at my Shabbat table, I had a person, I asked them, maybe 2 weeks ago, does anybody have a Dvar Torah? Anybody have a joke? They pulled out of their pocket, they printed out a whole Dvar Torah, a whole joke, a whole everything. They already had it prepared. I was very impressed. Very impressed that the person should come prepared. Don't make yourself cheap. Don't sell yourself short. The person comes, participate in the level you would like. If there are people that are going to come to your Seder, and they're not going to like that your kids talk so much, so don't have them at your Seder. Invite them for Yom Kippur dinner. Don't have them at your Seder. Your Seder, v'higata levincha b'yomahu, you have to tell your children on this day, the Seder is about your children. And if a person doesn't want your children to be speaking, so they're not invited to. Forgive me for being blunt. They're not welcome at your Seder. They can go somewhere else. A person should know this is all about education for the next generation. Even the Rambam says, Kulam Chachamim. Everyone knows they all have to sit down and share to each other the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So even if there are no children, you still have an obligation to share. Some say, by the way, that you actually have a mitzvah to teach your grandchildren more than anybody else. Because it says, Levincha levin bincha, to your son and to the son of your son. Meaning that you have an obligation 2 generations down to teach them about the Seder. If your kid has to go to sleep, and I don't think here we're dealing with anybody with tiny children, but put them on your lap, tell them the story of Egypt. The Rambam says as simple as, you see this slave over here? We used to be like him, and now we became free. Even something as simple as that. give them some 4 glasses of wine or grape juice or whatever they can drink, a little bit of matzah, a little bit of maror, and send them to bed. They'll love you forever. No, but it's to let them at least do the mitzvot, whatever they can accomplish. You can't do it enough. You can't talk enough about the Haggadah. And so what? If there are people that are getting tired, so you finish, you take your meal, and at the end of the Haggadah, sit down and talk more. You don't have to run to sleep right after the Haggadah is over. So you finish Chad Gadya, I don't know, you sing Chad Mi Yodea, Adihu Yivnei Beito, whatever songs you sing, Shir HaShirim, and afterwards you finish, okay, whoever is wise and smart and intelligent will come back to the table and continue the Haggadah of Pesach. It's an important thing to do. If they can stay awake, and if not, if they can't stay awake and they fall asleep at the table, the Rambam says it's the greatest mitzvah. Is to fall asleep while you're telling the story of Yitzhak Mitzrayim. Some people, they're machmir about this. They're very strict. They could do this a few times during the Seder. This is already when you come to the Seder, some say there is a custom in many Jewish communities to wear white. Wear white. In Ashkenazi communities, they wear a kittel. In many Sephardic communities, they wear a white robe. In the Yemenite Jewish communities, they wear a talit to the Seder. Something to symbolize that it's a holy night. I try to do a lot of these different customs, whatever you can. Include. Make Pesach something meaningful to you. Alright, so let's talk about these halachot. First off, this year, we have an interesting thing. Friday night falls out on Pesach. Or Pesach falls out on Friday night, that's more correct to say. And every year this happens, I've been asked the question, so do you say Shalom Aleichem and Eshet Chayil or not? And the truth is that I have not seen a Haggadah with Shalom Aleichem and Eshet Chayil. Right. And every year I would tell them, listen, my gut tells me that you say it, but I don't see it anywhere. Until last year, HaKadosh Baruch Hu...
Do you do Kabbalat Shabbat?
Very good question. Some communities do, some communities don't. We do a little Kabbalat Shabbat. In our shul, we do Kabbalat Shabbat. Yes, that's the answer. Yeah, even though many communities have a custom not to do Kabbalat Shabbat. But it comes to the Seder, I saw Chacham Mordechai Eliyahu put out a Haggadah, and in his Haggadah he says Shalom Aleichem, and now everything else that you say. So you should do it. You have to be careful with those Birkonim though. The one book that you probably shouldn't be using on Pesach are the benchers use the rest of the year. Because those have crumbs and chametz, and it's just a mistake. Sometimes you see you go to someone's house and they have this birkon that's from someone's wedding and it's full of crumbs and cookies and wine and cholent and I don't know whatever else they have in there. Tell them that once a year they could take these books and put them in the geniza and they could buy some new or steal them from the next wedding.
What about the flat plastic carved ones?
So if they were wiped down or they're clean, they just have to be clean. That's all.
Wait, we use the Haggadah.
Yeah.
Right, but if your Haggadah doesn't have Shalom Aleichem in it, and you want the people to have, or you could just print it on a computer.
Oh, because the Shalom Aleichem is in the...
It's not in the standard Haggadah that we have in front of us.
Right. It's not in... Yeah.
And I think Eshet Chayil, of all the nights of the year, to sing Eshet Chayil, probably Pesach, you should sing it twice. A lot of work goes into this holiday. Now let's talk about the things you need for the Seder Pesach. First and foremost, you need matzah shmura. The halacha is that you need to have matzot that from the time that they were harvested, they've been watched, the flour's been watched. You don't have to do this the whole year. This is not the whole Pesach. You don't have to have shmur matzah the whole Pesach. But for the two Sedarim, the main mitzvah, the important part is to use a handmade matzah that was made from special flour. This is, what can I tell you? This is it. This is the mitzvah of Pesach.
You told Edith that you can't use oat shmura?
I didn't say you can't. What I tell you is the
I said,
following.
I spent the money and bought a box.
No, okay, so listen to what I'm telling you. According to 99% of the poskim in the world, oat matzahs are perfect on Pesach. Is perfect to use for Pesach. The problem is as follows. There are opinions. Listen very carefully. I'm saying this on camera, I'm afraid. There are some opinions which say that oats are not one of the 5 grains.
Interesting.
Meaning you can have oatmeal on Pesach. It's interesting that oats... No, you can't have oatmeal on Pesach. I'm saying there are such opinions in the world. Oats are, interestingly enough, the only one of the 5 grains that are technically gluten-free.
Yeah.
And some say they don't even grow the way that there's a number of things that make them stick out from the category. Essentially, when you translate Torah Hebrew into our languages, you're going to lose something in the middle. And many poskim believe that the oats are not the right translation of the Hebrew word for the 5 grains. And therefore, even though we don't eat oats on Pesach, meaning we treat them like they're from the 5 grains, it would be best also to fulfill your mitzvah of matzah on something that's not disputed as being one of the 5 grains.
You can use both then, perhaps.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Meaning it's not chametz, God forbid. It just, if you want to find the ideal way, is to use a matzah that's made of something that everyone agrees is from the 5 grains. The person they have gluten intolerance and things like that. I'm not coming here to make their life difficult. I'm just sharing. It was one of those things. Matzah is from the Torah, and therefore, as much as you could be strict about it, it's okay to be strict about matzot. It's not a rabbinic commandment. The rabbinic things that people are strict about, it's one thing, but the matzot, this is from the Torah. You know, the minimum size of matzah to eat is very small. 1 kazait. So we're strict. We have 2 kazaitim. How much is a kazait? Ferret sent me from Jerusalem a picture. Imagine this is a shmura matzah. You can't see this probably from where you're sitting, but there are different opinions. You know, this is according to one opinion, according to another opinion, according to another opinion, and then there's this little box for a sick person. If parents put a note here that that's what he holds, a kazait is. What everyone else thinks only a sick person needs to eat, that's what you need. 2 of these. Now, and the parent said though, what he does is he takes the matzah and he says, okay, you want a matzah? He breaks the matzah in half. He gives him half. So, no, it's too much for me. Okay, want a little bit less? He breaks off a little bit. He goes, well, no, too much. And then he finally gets them down. Matzah, eat as much matzah as you can. I know for some people it doesn't sit well. I understand. I'm not here to make it. All the things to be strict about, this is from the Torah. Hashem commands us. There are very few times in your life that you can say, I have a biblical commandment to eat something. Very often it's to not eat something. But to eat something, it's very rare that you have a biblical commandment for it. It's something to take seriously. I just wanted to share with you. There's a halakha in Shulchan Aruch. The halakha in Shulchan Aruch says that if you have a choice, a person is poor, so not you, someone else, they have a choice. They don't have enough money to either they can afford 4 cups of wine for the Seder, or they can afford to have light at their Pesach Seder. I mean, to light candles, to have a little bit of light in the house. Which should they do?
The light.
The light. Why?
Shlom bayit.
Shlom bayit. Very good. The light is there to have peace in the home. There's light, people are happy, nobody's tripping over each other, you don't scream at your wife, whatever doesn't happen. This whole thing of having light is more important than having 4 cups of wine. Haferetz therefore says that it's obvious that any other stringency that people have on Pesach is less important than the 4 cups of wine. And obviously if you have to choose between Shlom Bayit and one of the stringencies of Pesach, it's explicit in Shulchan Aruch that you choose the Shlom Bayit and not any of these stringencies. But matzah is one of those things you can be strict about. So we said matzah shmura. It should be handmade. You should know there's a big argument whether handmade matzah is better than machine matzah. Some rabbis hold that machine matzah is better than a handmade matzah. But you should know that the machine matzahs that you buy are not matzot shmurot. You can buy shmura machine matzah. There are poskim that were very into that. Let's say that for us, the minhag in the world is to have handmade shmura matzah for the first 2 nights. The Chavetz Chaim.
Spelt is okay, right?
Yeah, yes. The Chavetz Chaim was careful that he only ate shmura matzah the whole Pesach. But for the rest of his family, he let them have regular matzah. If a person can afford it, it's a very expensive thing. Shmur matzah, a person can afford it, so it's a good custom. The problem that comes out of this custom is I've seen there are some communities that they only eat shmur matzah. And the people who eat machine matzah, they look down on them.
Right.
That already it's not worth the stringency of having shmur matzah. And if you say, my personal preference is that I eat shmur matzah, but of course in my meal I'll serve machine matzah, you can't treat the machine matzah like it's chametz. The moment you do that, it's worth it for you not to keep the stringency. But if you just want to do it as an extra, I want it to be more meaningful, I want it to be more of a mitzvah, that's okay to do. Some of the halachot Shulchan Aruch brings down to make sure that they took off challah from the matzot. You don't really buy matzot today that didn't have challah taken from them. Many of these halachot are highly irrelevant. Let's talk about the wine. You need wine for the seder.
Not grape juice.
Not grape juice. Not grape juice. What that leads for is a very interesting Chad Gadya experience. By the time people have had 4 cups of wine, they're singing about goats. It's a really interesting Pesach experience. But the truth is that definitely men should be very strict on themselves to have 4 cups of real wine.
No.
How much, like a tiny bit each cup? There's no way I can get through 4 full cups.
You can do what's called a tachbula. You can make a trick. You can have small cups.
I know, I buy the smallest thing.
Not shot glasses, small cups.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact American number. I would say 3.5 ounces. How many ounces is this?
I buy those little cups at the Smart and Final.
The shot glasses?
No, a Smart and
ounces.
Final. They're like
3 ounces?
3 ounces. And
Yeah,
I think
they're
this is
about
5.
Could someone have a phone here? Look up the minimum amount of the 4 cups in ounces. I believe it's 3.5, 3.6.
Zev can't take
For children, they just have to drink a little bit of the cup. Don't make your kids should not be getting drunk at your Pesach Seder.
That
Understand
would
this.
have been so funny to see Ty drunk
Just a
again.
kid.
Now, if women and children want to be lenient, there's room for it. But what can I tell you? I like men and women to have the same halachot, but there's room to drink grape juice. What's the ideal kind of wine to use for a seder?
Red.
Red, okay. Red. What else?
You can use white?
You can. All wines are kasher, but the ideal. Meaning, what if I wanted to be strict? What would I use? Red.
And wine.
1.5 ounce.
Really? Nice.
Where did you find that?
Halachapedia.
Halachapedia.
I'm gonna look this up for you guys, okay?
DailyHalachot.com. Wait a second.
Okay, red wine. What else? Non-mevushal wine, meaning wine that has not been cooked, boiled, pasteurized. Wine that is not sweet, dry wine. So red, dry wine that is not mevushal is the ideal. You can cut some of those things out. I'll tell you the truth. I can't drink 4 glasses of red, non-mevushal wine. I can't. Peretz forces himself to do it, and I tried 1 year, and not good things happened after that night. So every year I try again. At least the first cup I try to drink like that. Maybe the second cup.
Chabad is 3.5 ounce per cup, and you should drink half of that, which is 1.7 ounce. 1.75.
Okay, that's like 2 leniencies. I say on top of it. Okay, fine, fair.
And
So
that's
this cup
Chabad.
would be something a little bigger than this. Yes.
DailyHalachot.com says that it should be an amount of a levi'it, approximately 3.2 ounces, and for people that it's difficult for them to drink this much, so probably like women or kids, approximately 1.7 ounces.
Okay, so you're saying the same thing. So this cup would be okay, a little bigger. But I'll tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
but you don't have to drink all of it.
Why don't you be like me?
Which is what?
I'll tell you like what. I know that all of you. Look at the picture. Look at the picture in this Haggadah. What's wrong with this picture?
The Kiddush plate is under the cup is very small.
Okay, that's one thing wrong with the picture, but that's a Judaic thing. What's
It's
really
full
wrong
to
with
the
the
top?
It's full to the top.
It's what?
It's full to the top. It's not. You want maybe Zev? You want to move one seat down? Or
Yeah, I just gotta use the restroom for a minute.
it's not derech eretz to have your cup filled to the top. I know that's what Jews do. They fill the kiddush cup till the
Over
very
the
tippy
top.
top, or they
For
spill it on
bracha,
their hands.
right.
It doesn't make sense. First off, you're wasting wine. It's about
It's all
tashchit. There's a
one
biblical prohibition of wasting. The second is, it's
Right.
not. Imagine if I came to your house, and I said, "Hey, can you pour me a glass of water?" And you pour me a glass of water till it went on my fingers. Yeah, it's like the rudest thing you do to somebody, or not. So you fill it all the way to the top. It's rude. It's not correct. Where do you normally fill up your glass to? You leave a little bit on the top, right? That's how you should do kiddush. That's how you should do havdalah. Don't listen to anybody else that tells you otherwise. Leave room on the top. If you use this kind of cup and you leave room on the top, you're gonna have the right amount, and you don't have to worry. So you don't have to get cups that are bigger than this. Just fill them up. The attitude is when you look at the cup, it's not empty. It's not missing. It's just full to the top without actually brimming over.
Do you add the little bit of water to the cups?
It's a great question. I'd have to look at what the Mekubalim say. My assumption is yes, that you would. According to the Mekubalim, you would, but you have to make sure then that your wine is real wine. A lot of wine today is very weak, and you add a little bit of water, it's already shakol ne'abdavo. It's not. No, really, there's wine that's barely wine.
Apparently the original wine was like so thick.
Concentrate. Yes, you
Yeah.
have to actually add water. Okay, this is about the wine. And Yishun in general, this is the rule for Shabbat, to make sure that you have good wine for your kiddush, for havdalah, for all the things that we do.
If we use like like fancy wine glasses, but they're bigger than the 5
You
ounce.
get yourself into problems because you have to drink at least the majority of that cup.
What if I don't pour the majority of it?
Then you're using a cup that's like missing, it's lacking.
So it's better to use a small cup?
Yeah, meaning it's interesting. In this specific situation, the size of the cup really makes a difference. Think about it. I'm not ruining your Pesach Seder.
You know what the
It's the relationship of the
Smart
cup.
and Final have this plastic,
Yes,
wine
I didn't
cups,
measure that,
and
but
I
that
think
might be a
that's
good.
5 ounces.
Okay, good.
No, they have it. They have a Smart and Final. They're like really pretty little cups. That are the right size. I know. I've been buying.
Okay,
it
so
for
then-
years.
so then that's something we should know. Maro, talk to me about Maro. What do you use for Maro?
There's an herb actually that grows in the canyon here called marubio, which is maror in Hebrew. It's
Really?
the original.
So
Sometimes
according to
I'm
halakha,
the only one
those.
who eats it, but I didn't pick it.
Those are
okay.
good for dessert.
according to halakha,
Horseradish.
That's what I use.
how many ounces is it? The same?
Looks about
We should
like
get these for the seder.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you should use
That's
then.
what I use.
Yeah.
That's what I buy
Good.
every
Excellent.
year.
Where did we get those? We should get them for the
Smart
seder.
and Final.
Smart and Final.
Okay.
Denise got it for the dessert on Purim.
Maybe I'll show the camera. Can I have one?
Don't have the.
This is a mechubad cup size to use for the seder.
Yeah. But even that is a lot to drink.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I can't drink it.
So you could use grape juice or
I
some.
can't even drink grape juice. 4
It's
cups
too,
of
too
grape
much sugar.
Oh my god.
So then you should use that minimum amount. Whatever he brought up that was the minimum amount, that's what you should drink.
1.7 ounce.
Alright, maro. Let's talk about maro. The
Half of it.
proper maro, according to halakha, is chasa. What is chasa?
Lettuce.
Lettuce. Romaine lettuce.
Originally?
Originally, this was the custom of Amisrael.
Where the
Yeah.
horseradish come in from?
How
Listen,
could they ever, I keep asking this question, no one answers it. How could romaine lettuce be considered bitter herbs?
Yeah.
It's not bitter.
It's not bitter.
It-
Sometimes it is.
If anything,
Sometimes
it's
it is,
sweet.
Yeah.
we're used to eating romaine lettuce and salad. We got
Yeah.
used to eating this stuff. The truth is that closer to the stock of the romaine lettuce, it's not the most wonderful flavor that you're ever going to eat.
What's that?
Closer to stalk, so you mean they're talking about the bottom of it.
Yeah, we're not talking about the whole maro, but this is what traditionally was used for. It doesn't. Bitter doesn't. People say, "Oh, I have to have horseradish." It doesn't have to necessarily be the bitter what you're thinking bitter. This is what Chazal, when they used maro, this is what they ate. There are better tasting herbs than romaine lettuce. And therefore, this is the kind of herb. It's.
They used it as bitter herbs.
This is what was used for. And it doesn't make a difference if you're Ashkenazi, if you're Sephardic, if you're Yemenite. In fact, the Yemenites have a beautiful minhag, and that is that the table is the seder plate. I don't know if you've ever seen this before.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah? The table is the seder plate. Meaning there's lettuce in abundance on the table. I can't tell you what abundance. Put it into your Google, Yemenite Pesach Seder. The whole table's covered, and there's a bowl of this, and a bowl of that, and a bowl. The table becomes the seder plate. The seder plate is an invention. It's a kara. We've used it for a long time, but this is an experience. And a lot of lettuce. Lettuce is what's used for maro and all day dough. I'm just asking you to please make sure, and this is especially those who are making the meal, that you rid this maro of bugs. There are all kinds of things that could be inside of the maro, and just make sure you check this lettuce very well. Because when a person serves food, they're responsible for the people who eat it, and we just don't want to make sure. We don't want anyone to be eating something not okay because of us. Really, you have to have 2 kazayits of maro, but even 1 is okay according to halakha, but 2 is what you should have. Charoset. Talk to me about charoset. What is charoset?
The mud.
It's been the mortar, you know, like the stuff that connected the bricks. Now, every community has its own custom of what it is that you make charoset out of. And I'm not here to tell you that one is right and one is wrong, but the reason why every community uses, tell me, in your family, what do they use for
Dates
charoset?
and walnuts.
Dates and walnuts. And you?
You use wine or grape juice and almonds and walnuts and apples.
And apples.
And it's trust me, the Sephardic charoset is so much better.
Well, they couldn't
I
get,
know, by the way, I know.
they couldn't get dates in Europe in those
Yeah.
days, though.
So the truth is that all of these things are for a reason. Apples, grapes, figs,
Yeah.
pomegranates, walnuts. All of these, the Jewish people are considered throughout our literature. We're compared to these fruits, and that's why we use them for charoset. So every community is right in choosing these things. If you only have 1 or 2 of those things, so you only use 1 or 2 of those things. So right, in places where they didn't have dates, so they used apples and nuts, and where they had dates and every community has its own minhag, and all of them are okay. But they should include at least 1 or 2 of these fruits that I mentioned, which symbolize Am Yisrael. And according to the Rambam, you add vinegar into the charoset. Wine is our custom. Most people add wine into the charoset, and all of these are good. People put cinnamon inside of the that's one of the minhagim that the Ramah brings down. Spices, all kinds of things. Every family should keep doing. All the charosets are good for Pesach. There's no right and wrong. Zra, what is a zra? They call it the shank bone. What is it? It's to commemorate the Korban Pesach,
Yes.
the Pesach offering, which is made from part of the limbs of the animals. Therefore, we have a custom to use one of the broiled limbs of an animal on the Seder plate. I've seen people use like chicken necks and things like
Yeah.
that. It's probably the most economical, but the more correct way would be to use a leg or I don't know what you call an animal, like any limb of an actual animal, a cow, a lamb.
Now, I understand that many Jews don't eat roasted lamb on Pesach
It's a
because
halakha.
it is a korban, but then there are some Moroccans who do.
Okay, so these are arguments that exist in
I
halakha,
went
but
to a
the
Seder
Jewish
once,
custom
and
is
the only thing they served was leg of lamb and with
well, it's a
cooked with
difference.
prunes.
It's okay. No, that's cooked. Roasted is the problem. Roasted like on a fire, like on a barbecue.
Oh, barbecue. So you
Like
have to
the
put
way
it in
you
an
would
oven,
offer a
it's
korban
technically
pesach.
okay.
So broiled is okay. Well,
I'm not a baki in these halachot. Like I'm not. I'll tell you the truth. If you want me to look up exactly what he has and what not, I have them here in my notes somewhere.
Well, we're not planning to have roasted lamb, but still roasted
Is there something changing over there in your house?
Bad.
Have you heard of the custom of using beets
Yes. Oh, instead of the
instead of
shank
the
bone?
shank bone?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good
You
idea.
roast the beets and it's not meat,
I
but
mean, you baked them in the oven.
Yeah, we use a chicken.
bake. Yeah. Well, actually, not being fleishik and using it for the korban is different. I mean, the korban is a separate planet. When you eat meat for a meal, you're in a different
Oh, yeah, of
ballgame.
course.
Okay, essentially, the Chayei Adam, you know, was very upset that people throw away the zera at the end of the Seder.
they don't eat it.
He says like a bizui mitzvah, you know, you're desecrating a mitzvah. Now, Peretz brings down that it's not exactly accurate. They're like tzitziot, you know, that after they're pasul, you don't use them anymore. But
Well, it's like isn't it like the korban's in the temple? The next day you have to throw it out.
okay, but
It was
the
pasul.
whole point is that it shouldn't be like a korban. My assumption that's why some Jews use chickens, because nobody would think that it's a korban. Ma'ana should bring out that an egg can be roasted, because an egg is not something
Yeah,
we would use for a
that's
korban. I see that according to halakha, we don't have roasted animal on Pesach. That's probably why so many dishes have been cooked in you know, all kinds of other ways, but not broiled. That's not the custom that is done.
But are we allowed to eat the zoa?
So very good. It seems like I'm not talking about on the Seder night, but on the daytime or another meal. It's like people that have this custom to fill up the cup of Eliyahu Hanavi. You don't find it really in halachic literature. It's a custom. But what do they do with that wine the next day?
Throw it out.
Well, how can you throw away a whole glass of wine?
Who's gonna drink
Good
it?
question.
Eliyahu was supposed to
It's
drink
been
it.
sitting there.
I saw some poskim read you should do kiddush on it the next day.
Hmm.
This minhag makes sense to me. I think I did this last year. I didn't ask Rav Peretz, so I don't have here a hora from my rabbi. What do you do with the kosher?
So you do kos Eliyahu then?
So in my family they do it. I don't know if it's my custom. It's just that's what they do in my family. I don't know if they got it from school. I don't know. I don't know where. My family has like a collection of customs that were picked up along the exiles. I don't know exactly where everything comes from. I'm not gonna lie to you. But the cup. So what you could do, use it the next day or cook with it on Pesach. You're making a dish that needs wine. Don't throw it away. It's a mistake to waste things on Pesach because of all kinds of customs. I'm just
Or
asking.
perhaps if Eliyahu actually
Drank it. Okay,
then
then
you'd
already
like
that's a
to
different
break.
story. Not everyone merits
Yeah,
this.
you just kicked the
So
table.
those who
That's
didn't
my
have
father
enough
used to
4
do.
cups of the
I mean, it could happen.
All right, let's talk about the egg. Some have a custom to have an egg. Why do we have an egg?
Korban Hag.
Zecher lekorban chagiga. It's in commemoration of the korban chagiga. If you don't have an egg, you can eat anything else that's cooked at the meal. Just
That's
something
from the
cooked.
Bechor, isn't it?
So every family has their own customs. The egg is really a custom. It's not a halakha. It's a custom. So whatever family does this custom, do it the way you normally would do it.
So it isn't necessary to roast the egg or blacken it in some way?
Some people do. Some people don't. Some people just have a boiled egg. Again, each their own. The next thing on our list is kalpas. What is kalpas?
Parsley
Parsley.
or
It's
potato.
it's the celery, it's the, no.
Some
Potato.
people use potatoes.
Some
The
people use
potatoes.
celery
Celery.
and some people use parsley.
Potato.
Forgive me just one thing. There are some people that use onions.
Potatoes.
Onions.
Some people use potatoes.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
Ashkenazim.
potatoes.
These customs come from places that did not have the vegetables that we had in the times of the Gemara when we instituted these customs. And it's a correct thing for them at this point in time to put those customs back on the bookcase and to use the ones that really are here it's not a point of custom. Here it's a point of what does Hashem want from me? What did the rabbis institute from me? No, you don't have to get, nobody's offensive here. If there were things that we do wrong by the Seder, we should also take them back. It's a time that, today you have the luxury to eat the real deal. So why get stuck on these things? You want to eat a potato? Eat a potato also. I'm not holding it back from you. But don't, just because it's my custom to eat a potato, I don't eat the real kalpas.
So are you saying that also about the horseradish and the romaine lettuce?
Yes, meaning the horseradish. You want to have horseradish on your romaine lettuce, fine. You want to eat it on, no, fine. But make sure you eat romaine lettuce. Don't try to convince yourself that horseradish is maho.
Oh, I always do the opposite. Don't try to convince myself that romaine lettuce is...
The karpas, we dip it into... What are you supposed to dip it
Water
into?
and salt.
Water or salt water.
Yeah, so you are very influenced by Ashkenazi tradition as water and salt. The truth is, you're supposed to. That's okay. That's the Jewish custom, is water and salt. But Rambam mentions that you dip it into vinegar
Vinegar.
Ever heard this
I
before?
stick to the
Vinegar?
water and salt.
or lemon juice with a little bit of water inside of it.
Oh,
All of these three are good. They're all okay. You could use all of them for your seder. And I personally use in my house. I think they used salt water last year. I don't remember what I used.
Yeah.
But everyone uses their own minhag for these things. Kalpas is most probably celery, and I'll tell you why I think so. Parsley I know is what many families use, but in halakha it says that you're supposed to eat not the leaves, but you're supposed to eat the actual vegetable. I don't think parsley, and I don't know, I'm not a baki in how these things. Zev, you can help me out. Parsley has a vegetable to it aside from the leaves?
No, but it's got a
No, no.
stalk. It has a
Oh,
stalk.
it has
You
a
can
root to it.
stem.
No one eats the root.
Okay, so it seems like kalpas would be celery. Celery, you should eat the celery and the leaves also, but the celery itself. You make a hadamah, you dip it into this vinegar. You should know, the custom is before you go do kalpas, what's the step right before kalpas? Kadesh.
Oh, yes.
Urchat
Yeah.
kalpas, right? You first go, what's urchat? To go wash your hands. Why do you wash your hand?
Clean them.
Why do you wash
Because-
your hands?
Because you're eating
For the
parsley.
No, here,
No,
before the kalpas. Without a bracha. Remember, you do it without a bracha.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
going on here?
That's at the very beginning.
Yeah, after
Yeah.
kiddush. Why?
Because we eat.
No, it isn't because we eat, because we don't say bracha. So it's because you're cleaning, you're picking up the parsley and you want to make it, now the hands are dirty. Okay, what's the answer, Rabbi?
Wow. Okay, let's do this together. Together, we're gonna read.
So this
Yeah.
is the plant that grows here, and was it's
His
called
stage
maror
was gonna
in
end
North
up at 3
Africa.
o'clock in the
Can you
morning.
send me this in a link so I can read about it?
You don't know anything.
Notel yadav. You wash your hands letzorech tibul rishon. For the first dipping. Shehu tibul karpas b'chometz or b'mei limon. You're dipping your karpas inside of that liquid. Uchfi adin. מי שאוכל דבר שטיבולו באחד משבעה משקין ולא נתנגב, צריך נתינה בלא ברכה. Halacha is that the laws of purity and impurity are that if you're eating a vegetable, or anything really, that has been dipped into any one of 7 liquids, which we can talk about later, but one of them being these liquids that you have in front of you, you have to wash your hands beforehand. These are the laws of purity. These are brought down in the Shulchan Aruch.
So
I saw a rabbi that's very careful during the whole year. Before he even eats pickles from a can, he washes his hands.
So it's a ritualistic purity. It's not.
Absolutely.
It's not a cleanliness
Absolutely.
purity.
You mean by that you mean Beit HaMikdash or just?
No, this is a halakha that applies even today. That I know most people are not careful of. When they bring fruits to a table after a meal, they wash the fruits they bring to the table. It's proper for you to dry them before you eat them, and not touch them while they're wet. There's a halachot. There are halachot, but it's a part of halakha we don't really learn so much about. Maybe we should, but let's suffice it to say that for right now, who has to wash?
Fruit
Yeah.
before you eat it?
Yes, who has to wash their hands at the seder?
Everybody.
Everybody, right? Sometimes it's a big schlep. You know, everyone just sat down. You have to get up again. You have to go
Yeah,
back.
and I just to bring a bowl.
Oh, they bring a
Yeah.
bowl around the table. I want to
Yeah.
let you know the truth is that Maran writes in Shulchan Aruch that even a person who's eating less than a kazayit of bread, a small amount of bread, less than what you need to eat, doesn't really have to wash his hands. If you're eating less than a kazayit of celery or parsley, and you're not eating, how much parsley are you eating by your meal? You're not, I mean, maybe at this point you're so hungry you would eat the table also. It could be. But really, most people don't eat enough of the parsley. The only one who's really eating enough is the balabait. And so the custom was in many, many communities that only the host of the Seder, he goes to wash his hands and everyone waits for him until he comes back. Or they bring a bowl to him. And if you need a convenient loophole to help you get around getting up and get down again, so make sure only the person who's leading the Seder washes his hands and everybody else should eat less than a kazayit.
So there's no obligation to eat a kazayit of parsley?
No.
But isn't
No,
it considered to be part of the order of the Seder, you know? Rachat, karpas.
Just like one person says the kiddush for everybody.
Oh, but someone has to do it.
Someone does it, but he's doing it for everyone else. That's very good. It's a good. I'm not telling you to take out urchatz from the seder. Just not everybody has to get up and do it.
Yeah, in my house, my father used to do it only.
Oh.
I remember he only got up and he did it himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so this actually, I
Only
found
he
this
did
in the old books from Morocco. That the custom was that only one person
So
got up to
only
watch.
he did it.
So there you go. You see, we discovered the custom.
Water is also
You
more
verified
In
it.
most
Have running
Haggadot,
water
it
in
says
those days.
you should do it. Everybody should.
Yeah,
do
of course. That I mean, that's the accepted custom. I'm not telling you that's not a wrong custom. I'm just trying to help you out if you need to save
And
some
for
time.
the wine for the 10 plagues, my mother used to bring like a bowl and she used to wash his hands. Only him.
Really?
Yeah.
For that, Part?
For Dam, Sephardeh, Akinim. Yeah.
she used to wash his hands or wash his bowl.
No, she used to. Wash his hands. So he would put like a little bit of wine, and she would put water.
Oh yes,
Wine,
yes, yes,
water,
yes. This
wine,
is an
water,
old Sephardic
and then they
minhag.
would put all of it together, and then she'll take it away.
Right. I saw the Syrian Jews do this too. I think.
Why water?
I don't know.
To sweeten the judgment?
It could be, or it could be that it,
Chesed?
I don't know. I don't know the reason for this. I've seen this minhag brought down though. I could look into it for you, but I've seen this custom brought down.
So it'd be interesting. Maxwell House says leader dips parsley into salt water, distributes, and all recite, and then eat. So basically, the leader does dips the parsley into salt water. He distributes it to everybody, and then you eat it.
That's why we do it home, yeah.
And it's not that you take your own parsley and you put it.
So
I'm
who
trying to
knows?
see what. Oh, you're saying that the custom is that he dips everything and then hands out the dipped parsley.
Yes.
Does anybody do that? I've never seen a house that does that.
I've never
I do
seen that ever.
I've done that.
So wait a minute.
Lazy.
But I mean,
I
Maxwell
have
House,
Maxwell Shlita.
Right.
says it's gotta be
That's what I
true.
was gonna say.
Let's talk about how you lean. You have to certain parts of the seder. You have to do what's called he, se, ba. You have to lean.
To the left.
They say heseba if you come from other places.
Okay.
You have to lean to the left. Let me tell you what it means to lean. Lean doesn't mean I see some people. They take their cup and they're doing this,
Yeah.
like this. They're like this. And they say, "Why do I do this? To feel more free." It's a silly thing. You see people do the seder. The poor guest said, "What are you
Oh,
doing?"
right.
Are you
Let's put
crazy?"
some cushions.
And if you don't do it, oh, you didn't fulfill your obligation. You weren't free enough. If you ask me the truth, I'd rather drink like this.
Yeah, me
This is
too.
the way I'm used to drinking. The reason we do it, I have to understand, our Judaism is a flood because we're living here and we're looking backwards instead of being backwards and looking forwards. It used to be that everyone sat on the floor, on pillows, on blankets, on mattresses. You ever seen like those pictures of the kings in Persia
Yeah.
leaning on these? They sell them like at IKEA. You know, they came back in style.
Yemenite synagogues.
With the feast, she was sitting on the.
Yeah, very good. What do they call them? Ottoman. What do they call these things?
Ottomans.
Is that-
Ottoman,
yeah. Okay. They lean in. They're eating grapes. That's what it means. Heseba.
I saw a picture of a once an Iraqi shul and the Yemenite one where they had like parts that come out. The walls are made of clay walls, and then they have parts that come out, and you put cushions on them, and you sit cross-legged on them.
Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
there's no chairs. There was
Very
no
good.
chairs.
This is
in those
many
days.
places.
The
and,
only one who could do
Let's
first
change, let's change that.
and the truth, how
furniture.
parents
I used to have
should know.
sitting on the floor.
He suggests that when
Japanese
you're at the seder, you should actually listen to this. You should be up against the wall, because he says that not just your body has to lean, your head also has to lean. And he says lo kaelu sherosham tiluim al belima. He says not like those their heads are hanging in the space. It's a funny expression, like you know. When I saw this today in his notes, I started laughing. Sorry, but if you lean like this, so you'd have to. It's hard to do this in our chairs. But to make sure your head, the way you would sit in your chair and your teacher would say, "Hey, sit up! You can't sit like that in class." Or your parents would say, "Hey, don't sit like that in your chair." They don't slap. Essentially, you need to in that place where you're like comfortable that you could pass out in your chair, or the rabbi could talk all he wants. This is the way you should be leaning by the seder.
Fall asleep.
Now,
So
and if you see people, it's very important that you're set out to tell people that this situation like that, they're not fulfilling their obligation. They're not getting a mitzvah for
So
leaning.
you're constricting your liver.
Okay, no, it's probably bad for you too.
Yeah, right. That's why.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
good.
Ravan. He writes that today you don't have to lean anyways. And what am I telling you? I'm telling you shouldn't lean, but you can rely. You can rely on other people. You see they're not leaning properly. Okay, they're relying on the one posek who says that you don't have to lean. What about women? Do women lean?
No.
Oh, no.
That's new.
The custom in Ashkenaz is that women do not lean at all. Only the men do heseba. The custom, according to the Sephardic countries, Shulchan Aruch says that women do not lean except for important ladies, Isha Chashuva, that she does lean. And okay, over here already, imagine you're going to tell her, oh, you're not Chashuva, you don't lean at my table. So what happens is, essentially the Sephardic custom, as Hashem would have it worked out, is even the ladies lean. But I'll tell you the truth. The truth is as follows. This whole custom of leaning, it's like bad enough that the men have to do it. It's that thing that we don't eat like this or drink like this anymore, and we're forcing ourselves into quite an interesting situation to accomplish this. Women really don't have to lean. You should know there are poskim that go as far back as the Geonim that say that it's not even really tzanuah to have women leaning and on these ottomans, and so I'm telling you, you can do whatever your judgment. I'm not telling a woman you cannot lean, but in this situation, it appears to me that the Ashkenazi custom is the correct one in this regard. That men lean, women don't lean. It's already one of those things like we're acting signs of freedom that are not really freeing us. Then instead of focusing on some of the things that should free us, I'll give you an example. If you're at your house, and you are serving, you have a small seder. It's hard when you have a big meal. You have a small seder, it's your family, whatever it is. Don't use paper plates. Don't use plastic forks. Bring out your real china. Feel important. Feel chashuv. That's 100 times more meaningful than some of these customs that we do. Someone else should pour my glass. It's not a halakha that someone else needs to pour your glass.
That's good to know.
We do it because it's a sign of freedom. Someone else is serving me. But there are other things that could be more freeing of an experience that you should be focusing on. Now, what can you do? You're doing a seder in the Bet Knesset. You don't have first of all, you don't have that many dishes, and you don't have somebody to wash that many dishes, so you use plastic plates. But if you're at a seder and you want, so it's okay. Bring out your own silverware. Whatever it is that could be done, a person should make sure. Heseba, though, teach people if they're going to do it, they should do it right. It's okay to bring pillows to the. Sometimes I see people bring pillows and then they're on this folding chair with a huge pillow, and then they're like this. They're sticking forward. Their head is backwards. It's also a strange minhag.
It is weird.
My father, it's like a weird position to be in. My father-in-law has a very good custom. I haven't been Pesach with my father-in-law, but I heard about this custom. He brings the couch to the table, and him and Alav Shalom, my wife's grandfather, used to sit on the couch, and that makes sense. They're sitting on a couch, and it's easy to lay back and lean in it. I saw once a rabbi who he brought the office chairs, the leather off. He took it from his office and brought it to his seder, and that way he could lean with his head also. It's important. It's an important thing to try. I did once see a person, and I once did this myself. I was in a place. We have good chairs for heseba here. You should know they're not the folding chairs. But you can imagine. Forgive me that I'm doing this in front of you. You can lean in a way that your head is actually resting on this. Just with this kind of experience, I'm not sure that there'll be that much room at the seder table if you're leaning like this. And last but not least, what does a lefty do? A person who's left-handed. Which direction do they lean?
Yeah, right.
Which direction do they lean?
Well, obviously you lean to the right, right?
Well, there are two opinions about this. Two opinions. It seems that the real reason why we're leaning is also we don't lean to the right because it's dangerous. We say Shema, we don't want Shema Yekdim Kanei Levesa. We don't want the people to choke, and so even a lefty, we don't want him to choke, and we should have him lean to the left like everybody else. Though there is an opinion that says otherwise, but it seems like halakha is like that first opinion. The seder plate, you could set it up however you want, but there's in most Haggadot. Can I see what's in here? How do they tell you to set up the Haggadah, the seder plate?
We have the Ben Ish Chai has a different order for the seder plate, you remember. And the Arizal has an order for the seder plate.
The way we have a custom to set it up is the way that Arizal set it up. There are a few customs though.
Over in the middle.
Our custom is to have the 3 matzot on top. corresponding to Keter, Chokhmah, and Bina.
On the top or underneath?
On the top.
Interesting.
On the right top, we have Zra, which is like what's in here. That's corresponding to Chesed. And opposite that to the left, we have the egg, which is Gvura. In the middle, we have Maro, which is Tiferet, which is both Chesed and Gvura combined. On the bottom right, we have Charoset, so that's the same here. That's Netzach. To the left, we have Karpas, which is Hod. And on the bottom, we have Chazeret, which is Yesod. That's the final tip of the Sfirot. And then the plate itself is Malchut. It's silver, it's whatever it is. That is Malchut. This is actually follows the results.
That meat would be chesed.
Meat.
Zara.
That's right, because it's I can imagine that it's a sacrifice that
Where
brings
is the
acceptance
chesed?
to us.
Is that-
That's what it's
It's
corresponding.
also, I think, Zra, the hen, which is now stretched arm, and it was always the right arm.
All right.
Or if you don't
Let me
have
just see if there's anything else. There are important things to know. Sfaradim and Ashkenazim. Sfaradim, we make a blessing on the first glass of wine and on the
Last.
third glass of wine.
Not what about? Oh, we don't do break often after the Birkan Amazon.
We do. That's the third glass.
That's the third.
That's the third glass.
But before you
Ashkenazim
eat,
have a custom that on every single
the fourth
glass
one
they
is
make
after
a
Hallel.
given. Like the fourth one is listen. The first cup we do, that's kiddush. The second glass is the one we're holding the whole time. You just made a hagefen on the kiddush, so that should have in mind. Then you wash, you do the Birkan Hamazon. Birkan Hamazon, you take out another glass, and you do the Birkan Hamazon on a glass. And here,
yeah, so this is at the on page 25. That's
In
the
here?
second. That's the second.
25. Yes, is the second glass, right?
Yeah.
And you'll notice here it says Borei Pri Hagefen on page 26. That's only according to the Ashkenazi custom.
Yeah.
Okay, Sfaradim would not make one here. In the third glass, which is the one we do Birkan Hamazon on, we make a blessing after Birkan Hamazon, Borei Pri Hagefen. And then on the fourth glass, it's already included in the third glass. Ashkenazim have both customs are okay, but you should follow the one that is more correct to your family. There are slightly differences in the nosach. It's not really that big of a deal.
So can I ask you, do you
Yes.
for the second cup of wine, you don't say that paragraph at all?
You say it, just not the part with Borei Pri Hagefen. I mean, we don't need to make another Borei Pri Hagefen. Nirtzah is the last part of the Haggadah. It's proper, you should know, that if you can say Halel with three people, like a Zimun, you should. You should try to make sure there are three people present when you say the Halel. Nirtzah is on page here, where does it start? Halel, Nirtzah. I was once at a Seder and someone said, Halel Nirtzach. Which means Halel was murdered. Just make sure it's Nirtzah with a Hey. With a Hey. Here, it's really, what does Nirtzah mean? Hashem accepted our Haggadah from us. He accepted our, the divine, it says the divine service. I don't know what that means. Hashem accepted our Haggadah, and then we have a custom to read Shir HaShirim. We have a custom to sing all these songs. The Chavetz Chaim said very sharp things about people who did not sing these songs. You know, people think Chad Gadya is like a child song. And I saw this year, Rav Yosef Masas, handwritten Haggadah. His explanations of Chad Gadya are very deep. These are not, they're not silly, foolish things we sing at the end. And the people who skip them because they think they're for little children, they're really pogam, they're really hurting the order of the Haggadah. You should do as much as you can at the end, to sing, to dance, to make it a beautiful thing. Some have a custom to sing in Arabic, some have a custom to sing in Yiddish, some have got do all of those minhagim. All of them you should do them because they're part of the rejoicing at the end of the Haggadah that Hashem accepted. Our
Yeah, but
Haggadah from us.
if it ends like 3 o'clock in the morning, who has the energy?
You,
That's
what do they say?
After 4 cups of wine, you
Girdle
don't have energy?
your loins
Me?
and.
You think I have 4 cups of wine?
Baruch Hashem, we have last but not least. There's an important. There's a custom as Gula to read Shir HaShirim at the end. I suggest that people do have this custom. Shir HaShirim. We read Shir HaShirim at the end of the Haggadah.
So
Throughout
when you drink the second cup of wine, according to Sephardim,
the same time that Ashkenazim do, just without the
I
Borei Pri
understand
Hagefen.
My
that,
mouth would
but
feel
it's out of
like-
We're not
context.
built
I mean,
for
you're
this.
not really saying the blessing over the wine.
After
You're
so
just
many
saying
words, my mouth
You
is
are.
really
If you just drink Shakol Ni'abivavo, I drink
so
this
many
cup,
words.
and someone else brings me another cup, would I make another blessing on it?
what you've said. Okay, so this last blessing is not about wine.
No.
It's about Maxwell House Coffee.
It's about. You're right. That's, yeah,
The Afikoman. The Afikoman. Or as it's really said in Hebrew, how do you say the Afikoman in Hebrew?
Common.
Afikomen.
Afikoman. That's the real
Afikoman?
pronunciation of it, right? Or the Afikoman. That's how it's said. The Afikoman. you have a custom, some have a custom to hide it, some have a custom to keep it. My custom in my family is, it's the Yemenite custom, we keep it tied inside of our talit. The person of the house keeps it in there. The whole point of it is that the afikoman should be hidden, not hidden from people, but covered in something. The way when we left Egypt, we had it wrapped up and we went out in our clothing. And some Hasidic Rebbes are very against the custom of stealing the afikoman. And I know Stoner Rebbe is also against it.
He said
I once
don't
heard-
grab even.
I once heard the Lubavitch Rebbe was against it too, but I don't verify that, so I don't know if it's true. To teach children to steal is not our custom.
Who
If you-
steals?
To steal it away from the parents and I want something in
Really?
return.
Yeah.
Some people have this
that's the
custom.
I
It's
have.
meant to keep the Seder lively.
You
I'll
know,
tell you what I suggest. Those who have the custom to hide the afikoman, and I did. As a kid, we also hid the afikoman. You should tell them, I don't want you to steal it from me. It's a game to keep us in there. I'm going to put the afikoman somewhere, and I want one kid to find it. Right?
Oh, that's
not
what
not,
you
We
do.
do.
no.
not to
Always.
steal it. The
No.
stealing is
No.
part of
No,
the...
you steal. You have
They
to
go and they
teach
find
kids
it.
how to steal and, you know.
You know, I had a rabbi...
How do you think we have so many Jewish crooks? We told
Yeah.
Alav Shalom,
Right.
Alav Shalom, Rabbi
Train
Teller.
them.
Rabbi Teller would get up every year, once a year, he would give a drasha about Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I will never forget this. There's a rabbi who didn't let us read non-Jewish books, non-Jewish music, nothing. He would get up and read us the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And he would tell us, you see what crooked things we teach children from when they were raised? You go into someone else's house. You sleep in, is this the same story?
Yeah.
You sleep in someone else's bed. You sit
Like
in
old
someone else's
furniture.
chair. You eat someone else's food. And then they come in and they're upset. And they're the ones who are the bad people, not you. He said from a young age, we're teaching children that stealing, that taking other people's things. No, listen, I think like a little extreme.
Who's
You know, the
been
kids
eating
who
my
are...
corn?
But the truth is, on a subconscious level, we're really teaching kids values that are incorrect. Some of these children's books, I was at someone's house and I saw a child's book. It wasn't written for children. They should take this book and throw it in the garbage. Even adults shouldn't read these books. Some things are incorrect. There's some things have words in them that should not be taught to children. The person should be very careful that the messages we give out, especially in the Leila Seder, it's going to be something the kids remember forever and ever and ever. It should be one of purity, one of holiness, and one of real kavanah, one of joy, of a happiness that comes from really being connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My blessing is through observing these halachot, we really feel connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem should bless us with a Chag Pesach Kasher v'Sameach. And my wife always says, a very interesting teaching, that of course it's going to be kosher because people go out of their way to make sure that Pesach is kosher. You have to really make sure that your Pesach will be happy because other people, unfortunately, because they're so busy trying to make their houses kosher, they lose a lot of the happiness that comes with Pesach.
Good.
And I'm blessing you. It should be a happy Pesach, B'ezrat Hashem, also a kosher one,
Yeah.
but definitely one full of simcha and joy. Our custom is always before a holiday we sing a song, so maybe someone will. We have a Haggadah here. Why don't we sing a song from the Haggadah?
I sent you a link.
On page 10. Avadim ayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim Avadim ayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim Avadim ayinu adata b'nechorin Avadim ayinu לברו במצרים, עבדים היינו, לברו במצרים, עבדים היינו, עדה בני חורים, חורים. On page 36, אדוני זכרנו יברך, יברך את בית ישראל, יברך את בית אהרון, עם הגדולים, יוסף אדוני עליכם, עליכם ועל בניכם, ברוכים אתם לאדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ, שמיים, שמיים לאדוני, והארץ נתן לבני אדם, לא עמדים יהללויה, ולא כל יורדת אומה, ואנחנו נברך יה מעתה ועד עולם. הלללללללה,
Rabbi
הללויה.
Hollander's not.
Natoon.
Nine.
Yeah,
Isn't
Baruch Hashem.
Nice.
Very good.
Whose?
Rabbi Hollander.
Yeah?
Well, that's why he used to teach them in the Hebrew.
In the
day.
Hebrew day.